day to all y'all. It's been a while since I last did this. The impression slash look which I have here right now is of the 50th Georgia Infantry. I'm hoping to do a reenactment in September at Antietam, Maryland, or Sharpsburg. And the group, as I said, we're portraying as the 50th Georgia Infantry, which was part of Thomas Stratton's brigade of Georgia troops. They were like one of the last regiments that was added to Stratton's brigade in 1862. They were formed on March 4th, 1862, and was sent to the Army of Northern Virginia sometime in July of 62. So they got moved up there, and their first active campaign was Second Manassas, which they did not take an active role in, but they would march with the Army of Northern Virginia into Maryland, and their first battle would be South Mountain, Maryland, on September 14th, 1862. At South Mountain, they had about 250 men, and by the end of the fight, they had less than 100, somewhere around 90 men, because they had exactly 90 men going into the Battle of Antietam or Sharpsburg on September 17th of 62. So they were engaged with Union forces at I believe near the Burnside Bridge, and they held up the Union forces for a little bit before being overwhelmed. After Antietam, or Sharpsburg as you may prefer to call it, they went to Fredericksburg. They were engaged at Fredericksburg, Chancellorsville, Gettysburg, Chickamauga. They were involved in the Wilderness Campaign and the Overland Campaign, going to Petersburg itself, and then they fought one battle in the Shenandoah Valley, which was Cedar Creek, and they were involved in the Appomattox Campaign and surrendered at Appomattox Courthouse on April 9th, 1865. This particular group that we are portraying, I don't know that they were at full strength at either South Mountain or Antietam. It would not appear that they were, because most regiments had companies were in between 80 and 100 men strong, and it seems like they were not even near quarter strength, if that. If you had a full regiment, you had in between 800 and 1,000 men, and their first battle they only had 250 men, but a lot of them went out with sickness during the summer of 62, so that might explain part of the reason why they were under strength going into the Maryland campaign and such. The plan that we have, we are going to portray Stratton's brigade in September of this year, 2022, and that is our plan for this year. Now, unlike a lot of other reenactors that get a jacket like this, which is a Georgia state jacket, I do plan to use it for other events where we can represent Georgia troops. And I sort of have a question for my YouTube audience that's here now, and that's, as you can tell, I have 3 hats here in my chair, 3 hats, and I'm going to try each one of them on and ask you, what do I look better as? So first one is my Continental Army style hat. Do I look better like this, which looks more like a Rev War soldier than a Civil War soldier? This, or this? This last one's a little bit tight. So the 50th Georgia, when it was at Sharpsburg, they would have had hats like these, but they would have also had Georgia State issue kepis. I don't like wearing kepis personally, but it doesn't mean that they were non-existent. It just means that each soldier, just the same as every one of us that reenacts, we all individual, independent folks and make choices about what we're wearing. So, like I said, you got 3 hats there: dark brown, tan, and black. So, on the video itself, I ask that you please vote which one looks the best for me, and I will wear it at Sharpsburg. One that's too tight is a civilian hat. This could count as a civilian hat, the one that's sort of tan. And as I said, the black looks like a Rev War hat. So, for my Georgia impression, I have the Georgia State, Georgia frame buckle, cap box, of course, a cartridge box. I'm wearing a coverlet right here. I'm also wearing a CS issue haversack plus an early war canteen and an Atlanta issue brogans. So, and I'm also wearing a ground cover, so I have something to sleep on. I pretty much covered all the bases. As far as I know, the 50th Georgia Infantry had infield rifle muskets for the Battle of Antietam or Sharpsburg, whatever you please. And this is the best, to the best of my abilities, this is what I could see a soldier in the 50th Georgia looking like, even though these Georgia State jackets sometimes had trim on them, sometimes did not. So, but, all right, well, I'm going to open the floor for a few questions.
Private, you mentioned that in some of the battles there were so many sick soldiers and they had to go home or to a hospital. So what kind of diseases did they experience on the battlefield?
Well, if they were wounded, infections of the wounds could take place because they did not have proper antiseptic, nor did they maintain proper hygiene. Don't really care to go into how hygiene was back then because it was very poor. At home or prior to a battle, a lot of men would take ill with various sicknesses, dysentery or diarrhea, cholera, in rare cases, whooping cough, and pneumonia. Pneumonia killed a whole lot of soldiers. So did different fevers and flus, and just the common cold was never really cured because it would always wear down the soldiers so badly that it could kill them.
So what was the happiest moment for a Confederate soldier?
Probably to get home and leave the military.
And what kind of food did they eat while they were out
on campaign?
On campaign.
They would eat, as a Confederate soldier, they would eat either dried or fresh beef, sometimes salt pork. They could end up getting hardtack crackers. At different points during the war, they would also receive flour. Then, towards the latter part of the war, their flour would be mixed with cornmeal. And towards the end of the war, their cornmeal was the predominant bread maker for them.
Okay, and one last question. Were there chaplains of different denominations out on the field? What was the spiritual life or possibilities?
Because it was during times of very much desperateness, men did reach out to chaplains, and they did have chaplains that relatively easy to get a hold of. The U.S. Army had the United States Christian Commission. The Confederates had a lot of folks that were pastors in churches that traveled with companies when they would go forth. And typically your chaplain on the pay scale made about the same amount of money as a second lieutenant, and had the rank of maybe a corporal or a sergeant.
Okay, you've been very helpful, Private Camper. Thank you. I appreciate your video here.